Hello, Jennifer. It's very
Hey.
nice to talk to you and have you finally on the podcast. Welcome to the product tea where we spill everything. You just told me that you're really bad at introducing yourself, and now I put you even on the spot. So
You're
why
putting me
don't you
on
do your
spot.
best, and then I introduce you back to yourself? I'm very happy to have you
Okay.
finally on my podcast. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Leah. It's really nice to be here. So I'm Jennifer Montague. I'm currently the Vice President of Growth at Onomondo, which is an IoT Internet of Things company based in Copenhagen, Denmark. Originally from the US, but I've lived and worked in England, Switzerland, and Denmark now. Always in marketing and public speaker, published author, mom, all of the above. And it's really nice to be here. How'd I do?
You did. You did everything. Very good. That was a very good introduction. So let me introduce you
All
back
right.
to you. So what is your relevance in my life? Why did I even talk to you in the first place to have you on my podcast? So that's a very good question. I have a friend, Laura. She told me that, you need to talk to Jennifer. She is absolutely awesome. Never heard about you. Went to your profile, just saw some stuff that you did. Also learned a little bit about Onomondo. And the thing that struck me with you is also that for some reason you managed to actually go from marketing to growth, which is a fantastic thing, because it also means that you understand what the future is of marketing. And this is exactly how your content also kind of reflected with me, because I do not see too many people talking about marketing taking care of the entire funnel or like the entire experience of a product, which I find really awesome. So that was sort of the first touch point. And then I saw you also write about some really fun things. So we are roughly in the same range when it comes to followers on LinkedIn. We're not huge, but we're also not that small. And you had two posts, I think, that took off quite a bit, right? So like one of them was this gated content stuff. You remember this? And
Do
then you
I?
had another post about the gated content stuff that also took off. Like, I don't know how many, like 600-700 engagements, which is pretty big for us, right? So like in our small
Yeah.
size. And what I really appreciated about it is that so first of all, your post started with unpopular opinion alert, and then like an alert side, and it just
I
like
knew.
gated content.
I knew what I was getting myself into. Yeah.
No, and it was great because this is exactly how product managers work, right? So here there was the main hypothesis, and then there was the experiment that was coming afterwards, and you really structured well, like how can you increase your chance with gated content to get a lot of engagement, a lot of leads, and so forth. And the short story is, very surprisingly, it requires a lot of work, but it does work, right? And I mean, I think you've proved this as well. It's not, I mean, I don't want to reduce you to these two posts, but I think this really showed well how how successful experiments can work twice. And it's great stuff. So I really enjoy your content, and I really appreciate you for your perspective, and that's why I'm also excited to talk to you today in this regard.
Lovely.
Because I think we will see this much more now in the industry, people coming from all different kinds of disciplines into growth leadership positions. And you also said that you're a growth leader now at Onomondo. You also worked with companies with other bigger names like, FIFA, Planday. I did not know beforehand, to my own embarrassment. I'm sorry for that. But also like, what was it, 23 and Dixa and so forth, right? So like, I think the most prolific one is now Onomondo. Can you tell us really quick what Onomondo does and why it is so special? Because I think it is.
It is. It's really special, and the product itself, I think, is a real game changer. And I'm not just saying that because they pay my salary. So we are an IoT connectivity provider. So companies, for example, one of our largest customers, Maersk, and so they use our technology for 100,000 shipping containers around the world to find out where they are, what the temperature is, when they can be expected to return, and everything else. So we connect basically devices in the cloud so that people can get their data, collect their data, and then use that data to make better decisions. And it's kind of hard to boil it down to one thing because the magic is in the use case. So whether you're shipping the COVID vaccine coming to Denmark was used, making sure that they were at the right temperature using our tech, or micromobility scooters using our tech to make sure that they can find the scooters. There's all different kinds of use cases, but we are essentially the connectivity between the device and the cloud to make sure that that device can always be found and connected with.
No, it's in a broader sense. Without logistics, you guys would not exist. We can also say that, right? Like
logistics is one of our largest ones, but
yeah.
No. Logistics is one of the larger ones, but we also do, tracking, and someone's using our tech to track the white buffalo out in Africa, and people use our technology to make sure their dogs don't get lost. So there's a lot of use cases, but yes, logistics is probably one of our largest.
Which is kind of logistics as well, right? So like I don't want to get into a fight about this,
or asset tracking. We call it asset tracking.
Yeah,
your dog is your asset, and you want to find it.
That's very good. I would like to have some asset tracking over my car keys, please.
Yes.
So
we can do that.
So I will not go too much into this because otherwise it's going to be a 5-minute Leia monologue again. But I'm totally obsessed with logistics problems like games and stuff. Like where you have to solve like logistics things and stuff. I don't know. I love optimizing this, and I love understanding complex systems and just like fixing them. I guess that's why I also got into product at some point. But we're not going to go into this monologue today. It's enough for the audience to know Leia enjoys some really weird stuff. So, good. Yeah, so that was the introduction. The stage is set. So I'm going to start with an easy question. Why do MQLs suck so much, Jennifer? And what are they? So you're coming from marketing. Maybe let's talk about MQLs. I love talking about MQLs. What is an MQL, Jennifer?
Yeah, so an MQL is a marketing qualified lead. And my experience has been that these vary by company, what you would consider that. But by and large, a marketing qualified lead would be, say, someone booking a demo on your website. So it's someone who has indicated to at least the marketing team that they could be a potential customer. Now, why do they suck so much? On the second part of your question. Well, I'll say I don't necessarily think they suck, but I think they suck as an indication that you're doing the right stuff. And that's, I think, where a lot of marketing people get stuck. A lot of companies, I've worked at companies where my target was based on MQLs. How many people can I get to book a demo? Not how many people will show up for the demo, not how many of them will generate good revenue, not how many of them are a good fit, just who booked a demo. And I remember actually when I first kind of started in marketing, and I kind of joked to my manager saying, okay, so in theory, I could just have my whole family book a demo and I've hit my target. And that's essentially why MQLs suck as a target. I think they're a good indicator, and I think that it gives you something to play with, but I wouldn't say I'm doing a good job because I got a bunch of MQLs.
Yeah. I think the one thing that we learn also in product goal setting is that if there's no quality attached to something, then it's output based and it's not outcome based at all. And for some reason, this did never really go into some organizations when it comes to marketing and sales, because it goes further than this, right? If the MQLs are, like you said, like you're referring your entire family to the sales team now, sales just doesn't know what to do, but they also don't care because they're going to sell something to someone. And then they're incentivized to just sell as much as possible, which is also not outcome-based, right? It's just output. And this is, I expected a little bit pushback, but no, MQL suck. That's it. That's the end of the podcast. So thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming. No, thanks for having me.
I guess the big challenge that we had, or like that we have and face right now, because you're not ahead of marketing at Onomondo, you're kind of the head of growth, right? In that sense, or like the VP growth. And in terms of summarizing what we are trying to do, and I'm not sure whether you also see your mission in this way, is that how can we get this tea leaf reading away from our teams? Like this, I think this is working. Yeah, like this sense of like, this could be something that works. Now, I give it to you that there are channels. And I also had a talk with Lara Erdem about this, where we talked about dark socials. There are channels that are hard to measure. I'll give you that. But there's a big difference between what we do today and what we could do with data. And I think this is why growth now exists as a function, which I find extremely progressive, by the way. So I think you will be one of the first ones that is a CGO. I will support you in this move.
We'll see.
And I think I think, yeah, I'm gonna rub it under Adam Fishman's nose because he said it's not gonna happen. Not because of you, right? Like just like in general, like growth has a
Yeah.
problem getting into a C-level position, and I'm like, I
Mhm.
know some people. So,
Mhm.
do you think would you sign the statement that our job in growth is to get away from tea leaf reading and basing more on data, and also to own more of the journey than just the top of the funnel?
I
In
I would
Go
say
ahead.
that's a huge part of it. A huge part of it. I don't know if I'm ready to say that's everything, but it's definitely a huge part. And I think one of the reasons that we went from a marketing team to a growth team is precisely that. Marketing in my world just revolves around the buyer journey. And then someone becomes a customer and you go, done. My work here is done. On
Mhm,
to the next one.
mhm,
And I found a
mhm.
lot of jobs that I had, I would look at these leads and I'd go, we could do more. We could help customer support because maybe there's something wrong with our onboarding. Maybe there's something wrong with the product. Maybe there's so many opportunities to learn from our customers. And I would be told that's not your job. Once they sign that paper, it's not your problem. And we had a saying, it's NMFP, not my fucking problem. That's
Uh-huh.
CS's problem now, and that for me never made sense because it creates silos. There's a mismanagement of or misalignment of targets, objectives, and that's stupid. So when I was Onomondo reached out to me, and I was actually on maternity leave at the time, so I wasn't really looking. But
Mhm.
I said to them, if I'm going to join you, this is how I want to do stuff. I want to combine the buyer journey and the customer journey. I want a team that is large. My team is now pretty large, um, and I want to look at
Yeah.
the full life cycle of a customer. I don't want to stop when they sign that paper. And so that's why we decided to call it growth, because that is more encompassing of the full customer experience and turning those customers into advocates and all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of ethos behind becoming growth. And then I think the other side, in terms of getting data and making these data-based decisions, data-driven decisions, I think that's the other kind of difficult part. And I think one of the problem, I'm putting that in air quotes, with data is that in companies, either you have way too much and you don't know what to do with it, or you have
Yeah.
way too little and you feel like it's not enough to make a decision, but you have to start somewhere. And
Yeah.
so one of the things that we're doing, I'm a big fan of growth hacking, and not in like the way that everyone's using that word as a buzzword, but actual growth hacking, like mini experiments, trying something,
Yeah.
seeing if it works. And if it doesn't work, scrap it. And if it does work, iterate, and make it better. And that's the data I need. So I don't have necessarily 1,000 touches on this thing, and I
Yeah.
know that it works. But I know, for example, we did this. We had this crazy idea on Onomondo of putting a price on our pricing page,
Uh-huh.
which a lot of
No.
B2B SaaS companies don't do. I know, we're wild, but it's a lot of companies don't do that, right? And it's not because we have anything to hide. It's because our prices are so bespoke based on data, SIMs, countries you operate in. There's a lot of factors, so it's hard to put a price on it. But we said, okay, let's do here's a basic package. Here's what we can put this in a box and put a price on it, and let's give it a shot. And
Yeah.
we launched it on a Wednesday. And we launched it on a Friday. And by the
Yeah.
following Wednesday, we're like, stop it, stop the experiment, stop it, because we saw a huge dip in conversions and a high
Mhm.
bounce rate. And that was 4 days of a test that we're like, this isn't working, and it's doing these little experiments, figuring out, and we know it doesn't work because we don't do a good enough job of explaining the value we bring. So now
Yeah.
we stopped it. We're not sacrificing our conversions, but now we've created a task force to figure this out. And so I think
Yeah.
you have to have a growth mindset to work in growth. Mistakes are going to happen,
Yeah.
or you're going to
Yeah.
get, I think 90% of experiments will fail, and that's okay because you're going to learn and you're going to get better. And that's the
How
data you
many
need to make
percent?
a data-driven decision.
How many percent of them fail?
99, maybe, maybe
Okay,
99.
Matt Greenberg. This is to Matt Greenberg if he listens, because he called my 35% success rate shit. He he was working at Credit Card, but it was just
Maybe
like,
I'm doing it wrong.
I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I think that's a very good
But we're
point.
starting, we're just starting, and like, yeah, we're
No,
going to get better at these experiments and we'll be
totally
better. But
okay.
yeah.
No, look, you can massage your data in any way that you want to get to the 35% success rate, because it also depends, is this including variance, or original hypothesis or whatever? So it's totally fine. We can massage the numbers in any way that we want. The most important thing is that
Mm-hmm.
we're doing it and that we are able to measure it, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think This is very interesting to me because there needs to be, you need to have some fundamental understanding also in product analytics when you're doing something like this. So there is a
Mhm.
predictable behavior happening when you put out prices or like more value, right? So like I'm showing my
Mhm.
feature for it. If you look at price as a feature and you're exposing it to
Mhm.
your free crowd or like to everyone that comes on the page, of course you will have less conversions. Why? Because
Mhm.
now you're having less people in the funnel that already know that this is too expensive. Maybe it's also because of the value
Mhm.
proposition that you just said, like it's not well explained. Sure, but now
Mhm.
your task force has to exactly figure this out. But what I would expect also further in the funnel is that you have from those leads that do come, you now have an increased trial to pro conversion rate, and therefore
Mhm.
also your LTV goes up. Now, this is not hard to
Mhm.
explain for most entrepreneurs, I feel like, but I cannot tell
Mhm.
you with how many people I had this discussion that are just like, they're not even want to try it. They're just like,
Yeah.
no, 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 but we need to. No, 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 no. We don't want to show also our competitors. You know, like they can end the competitors,
Mm.
the ominous competitors that are
Yeah. What
sitting
if a
on your
competitor
website
sees? So
all
what?
day. No,
All
no,
day.
all day.
Hitting
They're like,
refresh. Hitting refresh.
what if they see our product? Just like, let them. It's fine.
Mhm.
Don't,
Yeah.
whatever. You know, look at this company. They're doing it already. What? We didn't know these exist. Okay. But
Mm.
yeah, there's just so much resistance to this. And it's funny because I don't feel like sometimes that this is a rational discussion that we have in the
Mm.
sense that you could show statistics 40% of your buyers will not buy from you or contact your sales if they do not see the price beforehand. So there's already a data point that
Mm.
should make you at least, as you said, experiment about it. I don't know.
Try.
I find it
Yeah.
interesting. So you're
No,
integrating
absolutely.
marketing.
Yeah.
So you're
Mhm.
integrating marketing into the entire flow. There's two resistances that I
Yes.
see that I'm just going to pretend that this is my opinion. If you put marketers into product teams or close to product teams the way that you're doing it, if that's how I'm understanding it, don't they
Mhm.
stop to be marketers, Jennifer?
Their growth team.
Yeah, but don't they just do product marketing then? What about brand
But product
marketing?
marketing is a we do it all. So let me maybe let me back up. So one of the things, so in my growth team, I have 4 core pillars that we focus on. So the first is acquisition. Of course, we still got
Mhm.
to get new customers. So that is
Yeah,
still part of what we do. And so I have a digital marketing manager. I have an ABM person. I have um, landing page optimization tools. You know, I'm still doing that. We have Google ads. We have LinkedIn paid social ads. Then we
yeah,
have the activation side of things. So we want to make sure onboarding is shit hot. We want to make sure it's on point. And so we use
mhm,
things like panel to see if what we call the optimal features, i.e. the thing that really brings the wow moment, make sure those are being used as early as possible. So
yeah,
that's something that we focus on in growth. Then we focus on retention. So how can we make the help center more engaging? How do we make it more helpful? We're doing videos, for example. So I have a
yeah,
videographer who is going to be in charge of that. And then we also have expansion because that's another part of our business model. So how can we expand upon existing customers? So we're still doing the branding, we're still doing everything, but we in the marketing team, I feel have the most resources to really help product be taken up a notch. So
no,
we kind of have 1 foot in marketing, 1 foot in product, and
no.
we're the Venn diagram of when someone becomes a prospect to a customer. We're in the middle trying to make sure that that transition is as smooth as possible.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Also, by the way, I'm going to call it a when diagram right now. Like not when, but like
Swiss.
when, you know, like WHEN. Because this is like when these two overlap, it's happening. It's a
Oh,
when
okay.
diagram. Sorry,
Got it. I
give a
wasn't
joke.
sure if that was the
Yeah.
German joke.
Yeah,
German
not
language
funny.
joke, excuse me.
Yeah, not funny, Leah, not funny. Okay, so
I laughed.
damn, I wanted to say something really smart. So yeah, so here's the thing, right? Like, I really love you saying this now. Also, that you have now, yeah, you have engineering closer for the marketers than if marketing is a separate part of the organization. I think this is so important to understand because if you're relegated to top of the funnel experiments, because it's a funnel, right? Like I don't say the F word gladly. Like it's just a funnel. That's what it is because it
Mhm.
stops and then it's being handed off. You're severely limited. What if you want to make an experiment that triggers or checks something in the activation flow after it's in the product? What if you have a huge paid advertisement campaign that is driving 100,000 people, and then you want to see how many actually clicked on the account page of this particular product? You cannot do it without engineering. And then what happens is that you're in this new team. You're like, oh my God, I have this amazing idea. I'm going to ask the product guys over there whether they can actually lend me some engineers. Yeah, we don't have time. We need to work on our OKRs.
No.
We don't have time, right? This is exactly what happens. So what do you do? You're being pushed back. Yeah.
Well, we also have our own marketing web developer in the growth team.
A marketing
web have a developer.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Amazing.
I told you, it's the dream team. So he right now is sitting, because there's 2 languages, right? Our marketing website is in one language, our product is in another language. He's sitting in between of how can we do a soft conversion sort of activation-y play that marketing owns, but very closely aligned with product without taking away product resources. Because that's always the problem.
Nice.
Like, can I have an engineer? No,
yeah, but that's great. How did the job description for that person look like? What was the name of it? Do you remember?
Well, we started it with. I wrote it. So it was originally marketing web developer, but then actually, I've worked with this person in 2 previous companies, and so he said, "I love the job, but I want to be the marketing full stack developer," and so he's the full stack developer.
Really?
Growth. Excuse me.
Amazing.
He is a marketing full stack, but he's called the growth full stack.
For real, like I had now the suspicion that if you just write out the job advert, that you would not get a lot of applications from engineers if you say like you're a marketing engineer. It's just like, cool. I did not know. Yeah,
I think
I was just probably say like, we're hiring
before, so
yeah, okay, fair enough. So maybe the job advert was not that successful.
I had help writing it, and and I've been very lucky that I've had this role in the past 2 jobs. I've had a marketing-based web developer, and so I knew what I needed them to do.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful thing to have.
I guess I just wanted to drive back the point that it's infinitely harder to hire an engineer for just like a pure marketing kind of team role. And then just say like, okay, you're going to work in growth with, a marketer together, and then just try to, I think it's kind of a little bit a thing of a messaging, but like it really shows that organizational structures have a huge impact on what you're going to do in the end, specifically in the product. That's amazing. And that's really cool.
And I think also the extra part of it, and maybe you talked about this with Laura, because I know this is very much her bag at Dream Data, is attribution. So one of the reasons, I think a lot of marketers can't do what I'm doing is because their bosses are breathing down their neck saying, you had $10,000, you made 8. What are you doing? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And that is something, and that is something I think is really damaging to marketing and growth, is this like, if you can't measure it, you can't do it. And that's completely goes against a lot of what we're trying to do in marketing. I can't measure whether or not this branding works, but I know that there's a huge uptick in people Googling our name. Ergo, something's working.
But this is exactly the thing. Like, imagine we would run a huge company of so let's say, so we have 12 teams. So I have 12 teams at the moment. I mean, it's not hypothetical. We have 12 teams at the moment. Imagine just one of them, or like all of them, had the goal to move revenue in some meaningful way. You're going to move with your team revenue by 5%. That's totally ridiculous. It absolutely makes no sense to put a monetary capture target on this stuff. No, just chill out, right? Like, increase the amount of documents that people are processing with our systems. That's more tangible. And if you cannot move that, then improve this particular loop that we have, this behavioral loop where we say, okay, like the amount of documents that people upload or whatever, or like this activation funnel or whatever. But it's absolute lunacy. So in product, I feel like we're further already, right? Like, we have arrived. And this is the next point. I think there's a very specific reason why this is so hard to move in marketing, and even harder in sales. So I could be burning my fingers now and maybe losing a lot of followers for this, but I think marketing, and specifically salespeople, are extremely creative when it comes to getting their bonuses, or like to get to this measured state on whatever it is. So you need to be super fucking careful about how you incentivize them. That is my point.
100%.
And I'm not saying this, like, I say this from a position of respect. Like, hey, you guys are super fucking creative to get your bonus, but it's not the best thing for the company. So you need to be super careful about how you incentivize.
Yeah, but I think yes, they are creative, but and I've been that person. I've been that person that's like, that's a marketing lead, that's a marketing one, marketing source, inbound source. But that's because that's what I'm told to do. So that trickles from the
Yeah,
top down. That's not me just being me. That's me going, I don't get a third of my paycheck if I don't hit this target. And I was talking about this actually today. I was talking about a previous role where we were very heavily marketing and sales hitting targets, and I would
yeah.
spend probably an hour a day in HubSpot, making sure sales were
Hmm.
not taking credit for our one customers. And that
Yeah,
is bullshit. That is not how I should be spending my time, but I had to. And I had to call them out and go, no, that was a marketing source lead. And actually, we at the time invested in Dream Data, which was a really great tool. Shout out, Laura. But it helped
there you
because
go.
we could
Yeah,
show
go
all the
Laura.
touches.
Yeah,
But we could show all the touches. And so, but the problem we had then was that upper management, they didn't understand all
yeah.
the touches. They were like, first touch, first touch. What was the first touch? Um,
Yeah,
and so, you're in this rat wheel of like, I need to make sure that I'm getting credit, because if I don't get
yeah.
credit, I don't get my full salary, and I might not get headcount, or I might lose
Yes,
headcount. And so you're fighting with
yes.
sales all the time, and it's so
Yeah,
draining, and it defeats the purpose.
yeah.
So, yeah. So I think we are creative at making sure we get the credit, but it's because that's what we have to do to get
Yeah,
paid.
no, no,
And that's not the right
for
way.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. And I think what I've also learned with the rise of Gong and all these other
Mm.
platforms that give you a lot of insights into sales processes, like uh, for those who don't know, like, so Gong is really like Gong is an AI driven product that listens into sales calls and then is trying to give you also actionable insights. For instance, yeah, like you bombard the customer too much, you're not listening to them, or like the flow of the conversation is not right, and so all of this stuff is quite creepy, right? So like we have a machine listening in our conversations, but
Mm-hmm.
the value that you're getting out of it is that you're being a better salesperson at the end of it, and you actually increase your conversion rate, which gives you a bonus. And for some reason, then they accept every invasion of privacy, which is
Mm-hmm.
great, by the way, because I think. But it's a shout out to Gong. I think they're really good at this. Like they also have a great blog on this particular topic. But
Yeah.
I think the point is that exactly what you said. It's how we incentivize people is also how they're going to behave, and this goes also for the
Mm-hmm.
organization again, in the sense
Mm-hmm.
that if you build your organization shitty, you will produce shitty people. It's just what it is. That's why 5 people startups are so frictionless, because there's no
Yeah.
politics involved. But if you start to silo people and you start to pit them against each other with goals that are conflicting, or even going, hey, whatever team is going to get the best revenue in the next quarter is going to get a free trip to the Bahamas. It's just like,
Yep. I've seen
you're
that as well.
not going to, yeah, you know what I mean, right? It's just so
No,
annoying. It's
you're
just like,
absolutely right. It's
yeah.
very annoying, and it's counterintuitive, but and that's one of the great things about at Onomondo. We have a shared target, all the company, of generating X amount of ARR. That's what we're aiming for. And what we can see is that I'm investing at the moment. My budget split is actually 60% branding, 40% lead gen. So I'm doing very heavy on the branding, because I think that's going to make the sales cycle faster. That's going to make it,
No.
just make the process smoother. We have the best product no one's ever heard of. So once we
Mhm.
invest more in the branding, we can see an uptick in conversions. We can see an uptick in customers. We've seen that the sales
Mhm.
cycle gets smaller, and the customers are better because they're the right people coming through. They're the right fit. And,
Yeah.
that is a team effort. And that's a really nice place to be, where we're not fighting with each
Yeah.
other. We're actually working together. What a
Yeah.
concept, huh?
Who would? I was about to say, like, who would have thought that works?
Wow.
Okay, with this. No, but I wanted to say one final thing about the attribution stuff,
Yes.
because it's like this first touch, last touch, middle touch. Everything is touchy. Like we're just touching our
Mm.
customers. Like we need to know. We need to know where everything is being touched. So I love the concept of understanding this. And again, I still believe that in product we're already further, because we need to be already with the customer. And if you do a customer interview about how they found Onomondo, just like as an example, the
Mm.
question is not last touch or first touch. It's so complex.
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
at some point in your life you lost a shipment, and then the dog was just, I don't know, doing something with your carpet, and then therefore your wife left you, and I don't know what it is. But I guess the point is that buying decisions are incredibly complex, and they are
Yes.
long. And it's not that,
Especially
oh,
B2B. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Jennifer at this in-person event, and then I decided to open an account for 300,000 straight away. It's like, no, that's not what
If
you did.
only.
That's
Yeah.
not.
Well, one of the
That
things
happens
that
to
we're
me all the
doing
time.
to
Yeah,
one of the things we're doing to
happens to
address
me all
this
the time.
actually was
Yeah.
well, to address that, we actually have a field on our demo booking form of how did you hear from us, and we often
Yeah.
find it does not match our CRM. It doesn't match our analytics, and you'll see it's someone
Yeah.
who's like, I spoke to so and so who uses you, and then I checked out your website, and then I was at this event, and then I saw this thing on LinkedIn, and it's like, that's great, and that's dark funnel. That's what a lot of people are talking about. But ask people. Like, it's such a no-brainer. Chris Walker talks about like this all the time from Refine Labs. But just ask people, how'd you hear about us? And if they don't want to
No.
answer it, that's cool. Don't worry about it. You know, it's not. But we have not seen a drop in conversion since we introduced this. And actually, we see, shit, man, we need to work on a referral program because
Yeah.
we're getting a lot of referrals, but we don't get
No.
that in our attribution. It's direct traffic because they go to Onomondo.com.
Exactly. Everything is direct traffic.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, what did you do in your life?
So-
Yeah, direct traffic. Everything is attributed
I
to
just
direct traffic.
thought one day, let me try out Onomondo.com. It just came to me in a dream, and here I am. Like, no, that's not
Just
how that
got up in
works.
the morning. Yeah. I just enter it. It's just like, I know exactly what happened. You know, because I used to develop software, and I know exactly how these loops are being created. And the guy that was responsible for doing this, instead of putting other at the end of like, so every condition just fails of your if else statement, and the last one is just like, yeah, okay, put everything into direct. It must be that way.
Yeah, that's like the trash can. Like, we don't know direct traffic.
The direct trash can. I mean, it's going to be somewhat right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cool. I think we covered everything already. No, but in the sense of like, you maybe as a leader personally, and let's talk about, I mean, we can talk about personal growth, for instance. That's an interesting one always. But you as a leader, you've been with Onomondo now for, a couple of months, right? Sorry?
Yeah. 6 months.
And yeah, 6 months. So you're having your impact. You have now an idea how it is. You either hate it or you love it. And from your post, I think you love it. And where are some obstacles that you feel like, and I don't know whether this is relegated to being a leader now in the sense of like, in particularly Onomondo or just in general, but are there obstacles where you just go like, uh-oh, here we go again. This is going to be super difficult. Or where you just like feel like, that's going to kick in my imposter syndrome, or like, I don't know how to solve this. These are like these, there are sometimes these really difficult problems where I also get stuck and I'm just like, oh, here we go again. Do you have any of those where you feel like, I don't know what to do with this? Or what do we do about those?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to feel like I don't know what to do. I always like to do something. Maybe it's not the right thing, but at least something's moving. I think there's a couple of, I think there's always going to be the one great thing of working in marketing is everyone's willing to tell you how to do your job. And every company I've been in, there is some kind of opinion of, I don't like this, or I don't like the way this sounds. And so that is something that is, I think, kind of universal. Everyone's an expert. Everyone knows what colors work best. Everyone knows what image. And it's kind of trying to explain to people, like, we've tested this. And just because I'm not in front of you going, here's everything we did, you see that a button is now purple or whatever, and you'll go, why did you do that? I don't like that. What they don't see is all the shit we're doing back here. Blue, red, green, orange. We're testing everything. This is what has worked. And so that's one issue, I think, is always trying to make sure people understand there is rhyme to the reason. There is a method to our madness. It is not me going, I like purple. So that's always going to be one issue. I do, but if it's not going to convert, then I'm not using purple.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Sorry, business first. No. And I think the other one is just, being a manager of a large team. There's always, I want to be a manager who empowers their team. And sometimes that is really difficult in terms of time. There's just never enough hours in the day. And so I'm kind of in back-to-back meetings. And I've had a few times where my team are like, Jen, can I ask you a quick question? And I'm like, no, not now. Running to another meeting. And to kind of solve that, I've booked out my afternoons now. And I'm very brutally, ruthlessly checking whether or not I need to be in all these meetings. because I
Yep.
think that's kind of the hangover of COVID is everyone wants to have meetings about everything. And yeah,
I
so
think that's a
that's,
general sentiment, but now you're
yeah.
easier to reach out because beforehand we did not have Slack to just rope in the CEO or the VP of something
Hmm.
into anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I can totally resonate with this. And I think um, it's quite fascinating that also I guess if your headcount grows, because I think it's directly connected to this, not really the title,
Mm.
um, you really need to start to carve out the specific portion of the day where you just have time for yourself. And
Mm.
that means you will not get, no, well, not that means, but like in general, you will not have as much time as you want to have for everything. And that
Mm.
includes enabling sometimes people
Hmm.
and helping them grow and whatever it is. And I think that's one of those things where I'm really fascinated about leadership positions as well for myself, and also sometimes feel like shit, maybe I'm failing in this, is that we
Mm.
have so many connections to so many people with like 5% of the context. Whereas for
Yeah.
them, we're constantly in their face.
Yeah.
Jennifer said this, Leah said this, right? Like
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times something haunted me with like 5 people that I said in an all hands meeting. For me, an innocuous remark about something that I completely forgot about it, and then it was just like, yeah, but Leah said. I'm like, I don't remember.
And that's what we have to do now. But I think my
Yeah,
I don't have a cure for this, but one of the things, I always think,
yeah,
what was the worst manager I had? And how can I not do that? And so I don't want to micromanage, but I also want to be available. Because sadly, I don't think I've had tons of really great managers that I like role model material. So I've had to
yeah. Mine
become that
sucked
for
totally.
myself.
Yeah,
I've had some really great, wonderful people. I don't want to sound like that, but my role models in terms of management style, I think there's room for improvement for everyone. But for me, that really kicked me in the ass during COVID. So
hmm,
my team, during the pandemic, my team at the time was 10 and it went down to 3, me and 2 others.
yeah,
Um, and that was incredibly difficult and that was really sad. And it was definitely not what we
hmm,
wanted, but
hmm,
everyone was having to trim down. And what's interesting is when I joined that particular company, I had to take a personality test. And my personality test, the red flag that came out was I was too nice. And that was seen as a
oh no,
weakness. That I was nice. I
hmm,
wouldn't be able to make the hard decisions and I wouldn't be able to discipline people. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about? This is not a factory of like in 1812. This is a SaaS business where people don't get disciplined. But anyway, that was a concern of management that I
yeah,
wouldn't be able to make the tough decisions. And I kind of fought, I tried to be tougher. I tried to be less nice. I tried to be less empathetic and be like, can you just do the job? And then when COVID hit, I said, fuck that. I am going to double down on my empathy because this is unprecedented times, as everyone's emails that everyone got during COVID. But it's, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what's going to happen. My entire team was from North America. We couldn't go home. We couldn't see our families.
yeah,
We were scared for the people we love. The
yeah,
last thing I need to worry about right now is selling fucking software.
yeah,
So how can I empower my people and take care
yeah,
of them? And that's what I doubled down on. So I introduced a Slack policy: no Slacks before 8 or after 6, mandatory walks, half hour every day. And I introduced an unofficial mental health day. I had people going, I can't focus today. I just want to talk to my mom. Okay, you know
yeah,
what? Take the day, do what you got to do, because I would rather you take a day off and come back at 100% than power through at 50%. You
yeah,
have to take care of yourself. And that quarter was our best performing quarter in company history. We
yeah,
generated more SQLs and SALs than we ever had before because
yeah,
we were allowed to focus and people were enjoying themselves. And after that, I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the nice leader. I'm going to be the empathetic one. I'm going to be the one that listens to people.
yeah,
Every one-to-one I have, I start with, how are you? No, how are you
yeah,
doing? You're a human being. How are you? If someone's having a tough time, someone's going through a divorce, someone's having to move house, just tell me, do you need a day? Take a day. And I think that
yeah,
that's something that gets lost in this business of make money or die trying. There's people. Everyone's a person and everyone's a human being. And as a leader, as long as you put the person first, the rest falls into place.
yeah. I don't know how to agree more with this than 100%. I think I go even further than like just tell me if you need a day. I'm just like, I don't even care why. If you tell me you need a day, you need a day.
Yeah.
Go.
Go.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. I also remember these days in sales organizations. I don't know why it's always sales organizations, by the way, but whenever I worked in these sales organizations, it was like, hey, next week in 3 weeks, I need to go to the dentist for an hour.
Is
When
that
can you be
okay?
back? Can you be back at 11 o'clock in the morning?
And I'm just like, what the hell? Why is
Yeah.
this like,
And you compensate for the 2 hours in the evening?
like,
Yeah.
Jesus
Just
Christ.
make up the time in the evening. Yeah. Like,
No, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, what is this, right? Like, come on, like, why do I always feel guilty, right? And then you feel guilty about not being at work, or then you don't like, or you feel guilty for like leaving at 5:30. Yeah, but she's still here, and then this happened.
mm,
I am so glad that this is over. I still think that the main job of leadership is because of this, because people can sort of hide at home, right? This is the big This is the big danger that the dinosaur managers have. What if they don't work? What if they don't work, Jennifer, at home, and we have no
how do you know
control,
they're working?
right?
Yeah.
Like, and then they're like, so can we I know about websites to track whether you're like moving your cursor and stuff. They started to do this with customer call centers sometimes, like really nefarious stuff, you know, like complete overview programs, like how often the cursor is moved and stuff. And I'm just asking myself, like, do you really think this is the best way? No, because you don't know better, right? Like, you don't know a different way. And that's why you're a dinosaur in this regard. And yeah, I don't know. I just still believe that the job of a senior leader is to inspire people and give them goals that mean something. And if you reach the goals, you know what? Put up your legs. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, maybe not that extreme. But...
Well, we had a huge event actually on Thursday. We had like 80 people come in. It was our first event, and I told the events guy, take the next day off, take Monday off. You worked so hard, mate. Like, just recharge your batteries. And no one gives a shit. Just do it. And I think another,
Come on, like,
no one cares, and you've earned it. You've earned it. And I think because the other thing, and this is something that I noticed in myself when I was an employee, like, you feel guilty, then you feel resentful. Then you're like, no, you know what? I'm only working from 9 to 5. I'm taking my full lunch break. Screw these guys, and then it creates this animosity and this resentment. And that's, no, I don't want to have to hire more people. I want to keep the great people I have and make them happy. And I think our job as leaders is, yes, to inspire, to give direction, and to remove obstacles. I spend a lot of my day going, if someone says, I can't do this because of that, all right, what do we need to buy to fix this? Or what do I need to do? What do I take off your plate? Like, just fucking fix it. It's not hard.
Jennifer's got a credit card. I'm gonna buy a solution for you. What is your problem? I don't know.
Well, I just mean, for events, they're like, we don't have enough microphones for everyone. It's like, all right, then buy some microphones. Oh, can we do that? Yeah, go. Is that going to make your life easier? It's going to cost me what, $100? Go.
Yeah.
So I think it's this instance.
I have some guys where this message never landed, and I find it quite funny because, like, we have enough examples that this is now the case. And I'm just like, guys, just like, I dream of the day where some of you just come to me and say, I already searched for a solution. Let's take the microphone, right? Like,
yeah.
How much does it cost? $250. Okay. Fly with the wind. It's fine. Go with it.
Problem solved. What's next?
Yeah. No. And then they're like, yeah, so there's the Sony, and then there's this, and I'm like, don't care. Just take it. It's fine.
Just
right?
go. I trust you, right? That's the thing.
I trust you.
I trust you.
Right,
and if you buy the wrong mic, then we live with it. But like, I don't, and I think that comes in. Yes, it's part of being a leader, and it's also part of like, I have like 8 minutes to hear what you have to say and come up with an answer before I have to do something else. So done, good, next.
8 minutes for a microphone discussion is a bit much.
Oh no, that's not that one in particular, but I just mean in general. When I get like a wall of text in Slack, and then someone's like, "Did you get my message?" Probably, but I didn't read it because just tell me three bullet points. What do you need? But yeah, it's.
Here's a question that I like asking, because usually we have more people asking us for attention than we can handle, right? So as I said, the question is, do you ghost or do you reject everyone individually? What type of leader are you?
Do you mean if they're asking for time for help, or?
No.
How do you
Just
mean?
like, I don't know. You come into the office in the morning, you have about 20 requests. Not all of them are important.
Mm.
Are you ghosting some of them? Or are you just like starting to, I don't have time for this? Are you just letting them live?
I don't ghost. I don't ghost. I think the shortest answer I probably have given is, I don't know, but I trust you to make that call.
Okay.
And off you go. I don't ghost because, you know, everyone believes that their thing is the most important thing, right? And they're doing it because they want to do a good job. You know, so
Yeah.
it's the best intentions. So, you know, I don't go, oh, you're so annoying. You know, it's like, okay, I get it. You need this. But then I also need to think, okay, how can I empower that person so that they don't have to check everything with me? How do I make sure
Yeah.
that this person has what they need?
Yeah.
I don't ghost, but I think, you know, it's just putting structures in place, and everyone
Yeah.
on my team and any team I've been in, they have the best intentions. So you got to give them the time. And if it means, the other issue I have is because I'm a mom, I have to leave at like 2:30 to do the kindergarten pickup. So
Yeah.
I'm like rushing for a train to get in because I have to do 2 kid drop offs, and then I'm rushing for a train home. And then in between I'm rushing. So I'm always rushing somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I don't have time, I'll call you on the train. I'll call you tonight. I'll check that Slack message once you send it to me. You know, I think you have to be accessible, but you just have to carve out how you can do it best.
That is ambitious.
Not,
That is very ambitious. And I predict that you cannot do this above a certain amount of people messaging you. And you also shouldn't, by the way. So
no.
this is just no. But I find this very interesting because I think one of my favorite books that I picked up in the last 2 to 3 years was 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. I mentioned this book so many times. I actually want to have actually a cut, Oliver. I don't know you, Oliver, but like you owe me a podcast. So that book is that book is about how to disappoint people. And I find it very interesting because it's a case for don't try time management. It's not going to work. So the only thing that can work is you have to reduce your funnel on whatever is coming in. But you also cannot do this to a certain degree because there's no closing hour for my inbox, right? Everybody can message me, right? So if I start to answer every email, if I get to the 0 message inbox, I will train people that they get a response. And some people, they just want to have a response. It doesn't matter what kind of response. They just want to connect with Jennifer or with Leah or whatever. And yeah, so the thing is, this is something that got me really thinking, where I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to ghost certain stakeholders. And especially, like, I'm going to ghost, for instance, you ghost outbound calls from salespeople, right? Like, I'm like, it's like,
oh yeah, that I ghost.
Oh yeah. Right. So there is a level, right, of connection with someone where you start to ghost, and some of them where you are actually not. And I think it's actually acceptable also on the type of content, because sometimes you get something that is for information or whatever, but and then you're just like, okay, that does not need a response. Because I also seen it happening with me with senior leaders, where I'm just like writing and there's never a response coming back because Leah has a lot of time to write, right? So I'm a little bit divided on the topic, and I think at some point you need to introduce strategic ghosting. It's not ghosting, right? It's just like, okay, I'll just leave this there, so don't expect an answer from me. But I think it's amicable to have the approach of you to just give attention where and when for everyone. But
I think it's prioritization. You know, my thing is ruthless prioritization, and my prioritization is I will be at that dinner table at 6:30, ready to have dinner with my family, and I'm not checking Slack and I'm not taking calls. That's my priority number 1. Priority number 2 is probably getting them to school on time. That's kind of important too. But you know, the family starts first, and then my team, and then probably my C-level is probably after that, and then salespeople. No, sorry, I mean external salespeople, not my salespeople.
But here's the problem, right? Like prioritization alone is not good enough. So it's like having a backlog that just has these tickets that are 2 years old, and you're like, yeah, well, eventually I will answer.
I haven't. Like, wow.
I don't know.
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I guess I'll have to cross that bridge when I get to it.
I'm with you. All I'm saying is that prioritization is not the ultimate answer, because there is too much to do. Unless
there's a lot to do, but I think. Sorry.
Well, you're a superhero. I don't know how you're doing it then. That's amazing.
I think structure helps. Well, I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm blessed to have a very, very, very talented team of 10 people. And while those 10 need me, I know, and I've kind of structured it. So I have my performance team, I have my creative team, I have my branding team. And so internally, all of those questions from non-growth team members usually go to one of them. And that's kind of how I can report to those 10 or respond to those 10. And now what I'm trying to do is within those teams having a hierarchy. So maybe instead of all 10 reporting to me, have 7 reporting to me and then 3 reporting to them. And we got to work that out. But I think there are days where I just don't know how there's enough hours in the day. But
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Once that team grows to 50, Jennifer, we're going to have another call, and you will probably, you will agree to me. You will agree with me. Like you're going to be like, yeah, Leah, you're right.
I'll be ghosting people like it's my job.
I read that book like it's my second job now. Right. So like, yeah. No, amazing. Yeah, let me just so there's one question that I love asking most of my guests, and that is if you could travel back in time, 10 years, whatever, and you could choose to be part of a company, any company in the world, and not like for capital gains or whatever, just like anything or product or whatever you want to be, like where would you have been? Like where would you have loved to be? What would have interested you? Is there something that you would say like, hey, I would have loved to see how that went down?
It might sound a little cheesy, but I would probably first say Onomondo. And that's not because I'm like ride or die, but it's such an interesting tech that has evolved so much in such a short time that I think it would have been really cool to be part of that, 4-person team who were like, I'm going to take on AT&T and did it, so that would have been pretty cool. But I think if we could talk across geographies, anything, I think Canva. I think I would have really liked to be a part of the Canva company because, it's a cool product. It's a product-led product. I use Canva. I don't pay them a penny. Sorry, Canva. But, I use it for party invitations and all kinds of fun stuff. And it's female-led. And I think that that's something I've never worked in a company that is female-led in my entire career. So I think that would have been something that, I would find very, very interesting to be in a female-led company.
I find I find Canva also quite fascinating. Exactly for those reasons that you just said. Like it was a crazy story, and what people also sometimes forget to be a little bit feministic also in here in this regard is that how difficult it was to raise money for women for any product in this space, and how difficult it was back then, and it's still difficult. Still is. We're not where we should be, but back then it was even more difficult. And Canva is now between, I don't know how many people they have, but 600-700, whatever. And it's insane. Really well, it's an insane story. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. So I think that would have been
not much to add to that.
Wonderful journey. Sorry.
No. Yeah, not much to add to that. I think that's a great choice as well. I'm gonna tell Melanie Perkins that. They should.
No, we're fans.
They should buy up the entire of Onomondo and then just include it. Okay, now we're also doing logistics, and then you have both. Then you can work for Onomondo and Canva
together at last. The design and the IoT world together at last.
At last, finally, the logistics of we're ferrying around the collars for Canva because they run out at point.
They do.
Well, oh yeah,
unless you pay.
So yeah, that's what it is.
You have your moments. Yeah. You have your moments.
All right. So then maybe the last question to you that I find it quite interesting how specific the people have as a question. Or that's the last big question, and then I have one more final small question to you because for my next guest. What trends do you feel like are coming that we should bet on in the next couple of years, or what's going to change either in your business or in the broader product space? Is there anything that worries you, something that excites you, or you would bet on and just say that's the next thing that's coming?
I think in terms of excitement, the thing that I love, I do love product-led growth. I do love this kind of no touch. I know you said you don't like the word touch, but how do you empower people to buy, to activate? How can you make your product more intuitive, more user-friendly? How do you open up the access? And that kind of leads into IoT and something that we do which I think is really fascinating, is we're trying to make IoT more accessible. So Barbara in HR can use IoT to save money on electricity for the company. So I think that kind of opening access to different things and making things more accessible, I think is really exciting. And I think COVID, I mean, I read a McKinsey report that said we gained like 5 years of tech savviness in like a matter of 18 months because people got so used to using tech. So I just want to see products catch up to that, and marketing and growth and sales. I want sales and marketing to stop doing stupid stuff that don't match the current buyer journey and what buyers are looking for. Buyers don't want to talk to you, you know, so I think that's a really exciting space. But I think maybe one of the trends that worries me is, and this is something that I experience on some of my more unpopular opinions, is this blindly following thought leaders, and this kind of divide I'm starting to see, particularly in like the marketing space of like, yeah, if you don't do things this way, you're an idiot, you're a dinosaur, you're a this, you know, there's a lot of vitriol actually about it, which is like, we're nerdy marketing people, calm down. You know, you're acting like it's a, I don't know, political parties or a religious crusade. Like, calm down, we're marketers. I think that people should be encouraged to try new things and test new things. And if you want to try gated content, try gated content. And if someone calls you an asshole on LinkedIn, like they did to me, because you tried gated content, screw them, because you're going to end up doing better for your business because you're trying new things and you're testing new things. And that scares me. And I think people should feel more able to share and try and share what they learned, because that's why we do what we do. We love to learn. I want to hear what other people are testing out and if it works for them. And I think if we keep telling people to shut up and follow what I do or you're an idiot, that's going to quash all kinds of new experiments, new realizations, new tech, new techniques that marketing desperately needs right now.
No, I think I totally
And those
agree
people who say growth is a stupid idea.
Yeah, never heard about that one. Never heard about that one. So, you know, I think that the thing that worries you is a result of LinkedIn's algorithm and the wish for people to just create drama so they can also create engagement. And like, you know, that's how the machine also works. You know, like marketing people are really good at messaging. So, you know, like it's exactly the space where this should not be, but it is because it kind of works, right? And because I came up with one trend that worries me a little bit. I mentioned this on LinkedIn a couple of months ago when I was much smaller, not me personally, but like I had less followers. So there was this thing where I feel like we need to learn to also design products that are also addressing minorities to some degree better, because one of the problems that I see is that we always focus on the majority of the product that we have, you know, like how can we move whatever is relevant for people in this market to this and that, right? ICP. So like for instance, dating apps is a very good example, right? So like dating apps have this geographical limitation that somebody that is 50 kilometers away, they're just not relevant to you anymore, of course, right? So like, so then there will not be a product for a minority group or like, you know, people, I don't know, that are from the LGBT community or whatever. Like it's just like, you know, your market is shrinking to a size that you're not getting an investment anymore. And I think this is one of the movements where we're really good at designing solutions for people that are market relevant. They're big enough, but also like creating stuff that is maybe not so much worth on a balance sheet, you know, like Canva designing for people that are colorblind or legisthenics or whatever you want to call it. I think this is one of the trends where I'm feeling like we don't have an answer yet. And I feel like sometimes we forget about them a little bit because they're not a majority. And I don't know whether that makes sense, but like that's one thing.
No, I think that feeds into a larger issue of, you know, in marketing, we have our core, our ICP, our ideal customer prospect, and it's always, or ideal customer profile for some, it's always the white dude, you know, it's because that's the decision maker, right? That's, you know, and I'm doing this in air quotes, but a lot of what we build for, when I see personas, it's always the same person. And maybe in something like IoT, it is very male heavy, but maybe we could be doing more to bring women in. And our company actually has a lot of women in it. Not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but when you look at the kind of benchmark as it is at the moment. So I think not just within product, but I think in general in business, we could be doing a lot more to be more open to diversity, building products and experiences, and targeting
Yeah.
people who do not fit the core homogenous
Yeah.
idea that we have, because that's where the money
Yeah.
is. It's not always where the money is. And if you look at something like Refinery 29, they've done a real great stock footage using people of color, using women and men of all shapes and sizes, and they have this kind of, you can buy stock footage of what real people look like. And the fact that that was groundbreaking is also, I think, kind of sad, but it's great. It's a great step. It's
no, I'm with you. I'm just not sure we are there yet. It's just that it feels like we're still out there somewhere, and we're trying. And so cool. The last remark that I have, this was not a question that was prepared, but I know that you're using HubSpot, you said, right?
Yes.
And I also know that for a minute you worked a little bit with marketing. So in 4 days, I'm going to record an episode with Scott Brinker, who is the MarTech god from HubSpot.
Yes.
And
yes,
I love his content very, very much. And he's absolutely fascinating. Do you have a request to HubSpot or anything that I should ask of him that I can pass on? Because I will take a note and then I'm going to ask him.
I messaged him because we're connected on LinkedIn, and he never responded.
Yeah,
Scott, I hope you're listening. No, he did the diagram of MarTech. You remember that? And it's like a picture of all the different MarTech.
8,000.
Yes, insane. And I had asked him if I could use that in. I think I wanted to use it in some kind of. I can't remember what it was. It was years ago, but I was like, "Can we please use this?" And since then, it's gone. I think it was like 5,000 at the time, and now it's like 8,000. But I think he does God's work. No, he does a great job, because he's showing how ridiculous things are, and how we, marketing people, the marketing tech stack is just getting absolutely bonkers. So I think he's doing a really important job of trying to make our lives easier. I think HubSpot, any company I've been at, we've used HubSpot. I think it's very user friendly. It's very intuitive. So I think he's doing a really great job. And I like his content. So tell him I said hi, and
I will tell him I said hi, and I think it's going to be a fascinating, like exactly this map of like 8,000. So if whoever is listening to this, Google I don't know how many products it is now, but like 8,000, 10,000. He put everything on this map, like everything, every company logo. It looks absolutely insane. And this will be one of the questions that I will have for him is like, Scott, where did you find the time to actually do this? Because Scott produces a lot of content. And he's clearly in love with marketing, and he's working on one of the best companies for this, I think, for HubSpot, which is poster child.
They invented inbound, which is,
it's insane.
HubSpot invented the concept, and that's our bread and butter now. So I think HubSpot is definitely, and they're from Massachusetts. Not that I'm from Massachusetts, but I studied there. No, they're in Boston, and I studied in Boston, so I feel an affinity towards them. But I go to Inbound every year, and I've spoken at Inbound twice, and I have a big affinity for HubSpot. So just give them a virtual high five from all of us.
I will let him know, and I'm very glad that you don't hate them, because that would have been an awkward conversation otherwise. But
not that guy.
I think no, that's great.
I have a question for him. So. How dare you, Scott Brinker? That's my question.
I will ask him that. I will ask him that exactly, like in this context.
How dare you?
Hello, Scott. How are you doing? How dare you? Okay.
How dare you?
Thank you so much, Jennifer. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, and I hope you also had fun. And then, that's it.
Lovely.
It's over.
That's it. It's done.
I will cut it now. It's over. Jennifer goes. No, me too. Bye.
Bye-bye.